These images differ from those typically seen in war photography, at least war photography as seen in the United States. They were taken in diverse places, like Sarajevo, Israel, Haiti. Some images are from 20 years ago, and others are more recent. Still, they are connected by a common theme. They document the efforts of ordinary people struggling to survive in a war zone, and they were all taken by photographer Rick Burres.
As a young boy, I was a hobbyist, I guess you might say. Photography was interesting to me, and I started shooting sports pictures for my school newspaper and for the yearbook, and then I joined the Marine Corps. And that hobby grew as I traveled around the world in the Marine Corps.
The unpopularity of the Vietnam conflict is attributed largely to the graphic nature of media coverage. Since then, the horrors of war have not been explicitly shown in American media. Although some of Burres's images have been published by the Associated Press and other media outlets, many of his more compelling, thought-provoking, and sometimes gruesome images have not. They don't tell the story of political struggle, border disputes, or military campaigns. Instead, Burres documents that ancient struggle to survive when there is no social order.
The Balkans area, which is what Yugoslavia is known as, the Bloody Balkans, has a very, very bloody history. And I just was watching some news reports one day, and I thought, you know, I can do that. I'm equipped with the necessary skills, knowledge, and mental constitution to do that. So I bought a one-way plane ticket, had a passport, got on the plane, flew to Italy, took the train across the border to Zagreb, Croatia, rode the bus with the chickens and the gypsies down the coast, and managed to get a flight on a United Nations C-130 and flew into the city of Sarajevo in June of 1993 while the city was under siege and heavy bombardment. The thing about Sarajevo was, you could be sitting in your living room and a shell might come to the ceiling. You may be walking down the street on a quiet day, completely quiet, and a guy sitting up in the hills with a 7.62 by 59 millimeter Russian Dragunov sniper rifle, who's really good at what he does because he does it all the time, has been hitting the Slivovitsa, which is plum brandy, a bit hard, and he just decides to indiscriminately start shooting. I mean, you never know. It's not like you would go across the front line and you were safe. There was no safe place. When an artillery shell or a mortar round of any type hits dirt, generally the fragmentation goes like this in a cone area. If you can lay down on the ground, sometimes even if you can't, there are people who will be 20 meters from a detonation and not have a scratch. But when they hit concrete, the shrapnel spreads about knee level, straight out. And unless you can get flat on the ground, you're probably going to die, or a lot of people lose legs. And in this case, that's what happened. 3 artillery shells landed, knocked me on the ground. I didn't even know, I knew lying on the ground somebody's probably hurt. And I was checking myself for holes, to be quite honest with you, because I felt the shock wave. It slammed me on the ground. Then you check yourself for holes, no blood, okay, that's good. You check your gear, okay, I'm still able to work. And then you get up, and this is the first thing I saw. And this is the first picture I took. I shot this picture with an old Nikon F2, no batteries, and a handheld light meter. It's hard to buy batteries, there's no convenience stores, usually in the war zone. And I shot this picture first. Maybe 30 seconds later, the ambulance showed up with the fellows who started picking up the pieces and cleaning up the mess. They were busy boys, so sometimes, they didn't get there quite that fast, but they were pretty Johnny on the spot. The lady on the left, unfortunately, the whole right side of her head was missing. Human beings have put a lot of time and effort into learning how to kill each other effectively, and we do it real well, and it's real messy.
Burres reminds us that this loss of civilian life, otherwise known as collateral damage, is the loss of a human being's life. He personifies the abstract. He shows how what we may see as extraordinary is too often commonplace.
This young lady was out at the black market trying to buy bread. We always think in war that bombs and bullets kill people, and they do a great deal of damage, but really famine and disease, the lack of running water, electricity, any general facilities whatsoever So folks have to get out. You can't stay barricaded in a basement forever. You've got to have food, you've got to have water. You know, some folks have to have medicine or you're going to die anyway. This young lady was out shopping for bread. I was walking down the street with Enrico Ferre, who was a European picture agency photographer. We decided to spend the day together. Generally I work alone, but I trusted this man. And we were walking down the street and three, I would guess, 80mm mortar rounds. It's an explosive. A mortar is a small cannon, I guess you could think of it as. The rounds went off. They killed her and three other women instantly. Knocked myself and my companion on the ground. I got up, spit the dirt out of my mouth. The first photo I took, the young lady is dead across the step and it's just a waterfall of her blood. This is the second photo I took. These guys are actually not regular Army. It would be if we had a Civil War breakout here and you owned a rifle, guess what, Jack? You're in the Army. These are not actually trained professional soldiers. These people were fighting for their homes, so it's not like, well, the Army comes in and everybody else stays in their homes. It would be akin to our Civil War in the 1860s in modern-day Sarajevo. This was about midway through what historians call the Siege of Sarajevo. And again, she was just trying to buy black market bread to feed her family. This is common. Civilians were targeted routinely. It really destroys morale. You know, it's terrorism. One man's terrorist and the other man's freedom fighter. And this was a daily occurrence.
Like a dentist picking beans growing in a garbage dump. Like a bomb shelter on a playground. Like people running across a bridge because sniper fire has erupted and the bridge is a likely target.
This is crossing the bridge on the Drina River, which runs directly through downtown Sarajevo. And I was just walking across the bridge to go visit friends, and a sniper popped off a round, started shooting. As soon as the round went off, first thing I did was I'm standing in the middle of the bridge. I had to have the picture. I dropped to one knee and I just started shooting pictures while everybody else ran to safety. The sick feeling came moments later when I noticed that the bridge was now empty and I was the only guy left standing on the bridge because I had a job to do. So I shot my pictures. It was quiet and I didn't have any choice. I just got up and ran that way across the bridge to my friend's house and had a drink. It will really rattle your nerves. Anybody who says they're not scared is either a liar or they're insane. And I've been in some pretty bad situations. Everybody handles it different.
Burres has seen and photographed what life is like when society is gone. Through natural disaster or an act of terror, he knows how quickly circumstances can instantly change. It can happen anywhere and any time.
Folks get used to this. Life is cheap. You'd be amazed what human beings can get used to and call normal. We're very spoiled in this country. I fear that may not always be the case.